Well, my friends, I clearly kind of screwed the pooch on this one, or to be more accurate, the kitty. Jokes aside though, Zen. I had him marked as a tier 1.5 hero at best in Blitz, which was clearly absolutely horribly wrong. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. And thanks so much for tuning in here on your Flesh and Blood Friday as I fall on my sword a little bit, or actually I fall on my Kakara, maybe, or my needle, as it may be. But see, I can keep the jokes coming all day long. Pow, pow, pow. But yes, thank you seriously for tuning in and watching. Hopefully you're not watching this, necessarily the minute it publishes, because Pro Tour Amsterdam is going on this weekend. The main Swiss rounds will probably be up and live. It'll be very exciting to see what happens this weekend, and it's actually very relevant to what we're talking about today, which is Zen, whom I grossly underestimated in Blitz. I have to be honest, right? We all knew he was, BDIF, right? Best deck in format for Classic Constructed. There was really no secret there, but I had put him as a solid 1.5 tier hero in Blitz. If you go back to, this is the image I'm showing from, I'll link the video, but it was from my Blitz bloat video, where I kind of briefly talked about where I thought the points would go during LL season. And you can see there I had Zen in a solid tier 1.5. Now, this is a great story of why Andrew would be a bad playtester. Actually, we know this because I've done playtesting for other games. I have. And I did okay. I was good, not great. But I tend to zone in on the way a deck was meant to be played. And obviously the people, the smart kids, the good builders, the good executors, by that I mean the players. I mean, they execute people too, is on their way to the top, but they don't care about how the deck was meant to be played. They play the deck how it's most efficient and it's best. All right, we're all degenerate card players, and that's how it works, right? You have Bonds of Agony, Descending Gust Wave, right? It's good, and that's completely fine. And that's the way these games are, right? And it's a good thing. It's not a problem statement. Okay, but I had been putting quite a bit of work into Zen. I was actually very attracted to him and his play style, but I was playing it wrong. And even playing it wrong, I had him in tier 1.5. And now that we've seen what the smart kids can do, it's very clear that, we saw what happened in Battle-Hardened New Jersey. Put 5 in the top 8. Several slightly, functionally the same type of build, but, slightly different builds. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about, kind of what happened in Battle-Hardened New Jersey, where I'm actually going to compare the decks. And I'm going to propose to you my own deck build to kind of erase the wrong deck that I posted a couple of weeks ago. By this point, many of you found it and told me, again, why I was wrong, right? Now, what I want to do before we go into the rest is I do want to I'm going to make some comments on Zen. And I want to preface this with the fact that, I like Zen, and I think that it's very important. I've said this around Fi, I've said this around other decks in the meta over the 5 years I've been covering this game. I think it is very important to have an easy to learn entry-level hero. I think that is fundamentally important, especially when you're expanding to new markets, like Japan, or wherever they're going next. I think it's a very important thing. That said, with Zen, what I'm putting up right now, this is something that I did with my inefficient non-bonds deck. Average, look at that. Average resources used per turn, 11. Average damage threatened per turn, 25. This was this was a 2-round Blitz game, right? And by that, we each got 2 turns. But a hero shouldn't be able, I don't believe that a hero should be able to pitch what we would consider a full hand's worth of resources of the least efficient power outputting resources, to be clear. And by that, you know what I mean? Like a red is the most efficient in power, blue most efficient in resources. I shouldn't be able to pitch nearly a full hand's worth of resources and still put up 25 damage or 20 damage or whatever it was. And, this screenshot I'm showing now, this was actually this was with an Orion. There's a disclaimer there, it was with an Orion. But this was on Michael Hamilton's side of the table during the final. You should not be able to throw. I don't think this game was functionally designed from a baseline mechanics standpoint to be able to put up that level of damage while also pitching a full hand's worth of resources. I just don't think that's, I don't think the game can functionally handle that. So that is something they need to contend with. Now, I want to counter everything I just said with the fact that I think Zen is actually not that bad, right? Like, I think there's a lot of counters to him in terms of disruption, in terms of that. But one has to acquiesce, whether you're pro him, not him, whether you're pro him, anti him, whatever it may be. One has to acquiesce how the pop-off turns, the oops combo, whatever it may be, probably is a little pushing it in terms of what we'd want. Not just, I mean, think about if this, like, people were upset about what Fi could do, and Fi is now unplayable because he's not Zen. Well, what happens 4 or 5 sets from now? So I think that's really where we more need to get our head into. Anyway, let's move on from the Andrew rant, okay? And let's move on to what happened at Battle Hardened New Jersey. So this was what I'm showing across the screen right now. This is the breakdown of the field in Battle Hardened New Jersey. It was 45 players. Interestingly enough, actually not interestingly enough, because now that players self-declare, you sometimes have players that don't. But the LSS article said it was 50 players. This had 45 players. The most offensive thing about this is that there's no Quick EP in here. Like, where are my Quick EP people at, right? Christina, we got to get over there. I was going to say, Christina, we got to get over there, man, but that is not true. But Christina and I, we are united in our Quick EP, but where's the Quick EP? Because I think Quick EP actually my Quick EP actually does okay into Zen, right? Assuming they don't, get into Magical Christmas Land. And the other part of this I do want to add is I still do very much believe that Blaze is like a major top tier hero. And I do believe that as Blaze becomes more prevalent, we get more copies after Gen Con next week, and I do think Blaze is going to pop up in the meta. But anyway, you see that breakdown there. It's very, very evident that the smart kids were into Zen, right? A lot of Zen showing up, and you see in the top 5, we had Daniel Farrar taking it down, Hamilton in the final, so it was a Zen mirror in the final. We had Brody Spurlock, Caleb Womack, and William Perlman all on Zen. We then had a Rhinar, an Emperor, and a Victor in there. Right now, Victor has been basically the tier 1 standout. Rhinar, of course, can just do Rhinar things. So both of them make complete sense in there. I'm a little surprised Emperor was able to slide in with Blaze, but again, there weren't a ton of Blazes, so maybe he squeaked through. Either way, we have those 3 make sense. 5 Zens is a lot. 5 Zens in the top 8 is a real lot when you're looking at, Battle Hardened New Jersey, it was paired up with a cash tournament. The Sharks are in the water, right? So we have a very good, very, very strong indicator of where Zen falls in the meta, right? It's very hard to argue that at this point. And there were also other events around. Was a Pro Quest Plus somewhere in the Asiatic region. Apologies for not remembering exactly where that was. Just did stupid things. I saw it from Fab Dad and Boy. Shout out to you. You all are awesome. They had some like turn 0 combo that they photoed. Things happen, all right? So out of those 5 that I showed, that's right, me and spreadsheets, right? But I went and I broke down all the decks, and I wanted to look for the similarities and differences. Now, one shout I do want to give, so Daniel Farrar, of course, won it, but we also have Caleb Womack, and I am like 99.9% certain that they are Team Tri-Shot. I do know that Team Tri-Shot, at least individuals of that, do follow me on the Twitter, so I'd love to hear from you if you're interested, but I know you're at Pro Tour and you got to come back and do your thing. All right, next we had Brody Spurlock and Michael Hamilton. I have to be honest, I have to show my lack of Fab Pro Tour in the no knowledge. I think they're on the same team, or at least they collab, but they also had the same deck matched card for card, which also kind of leans into that, but I can't promise you they're on the same team. And then we had William Perlman, who was kind of running, not in terms of total cards, but in terms of kind of what he had. There's a little bit of spice in his deck compared to the other ones, right? So we're not going to go card per card through this. Instead, I wanted to kind of point out some of the differences. So Brody and Michael Hamilton were both running a Belittle line. Now, Belittle is something that I had actually tested early on in my own version, Blue Belittle specifically, because it's a blue card and you get to tutor, and it's a blue card that turns on Chi, right? You all get it, right? So I had tested that. It didn't work out for me, but I'm not as good of a player as they are, right? So it's very clear that I do think ultimately that's a very, very smart line to go. Daniel Farrar and Caleb, the Team Tri-Shot people, or at least whom I highly suspect to be Team Tri-Shot, were running Cosmic Awakening, which I think is hot as heck in case they run up like against a Yoji or something like that. I think they were really thinking outside the box in terms of what could we possibly run up in Swiss, in Blitz, which I think is the right thing to do. So I really give a huge shout out to that Cosmic Awakening. I think that's really hot. One thing that Brody and Michael Perlman both did is they were both running Blanche, which is definitely a high table meta call, right? In terms of turning off colors, I think that's actually really, really, really smart to turn off the Transcend, and then turn off Zen's combo. I think that's pretty hot. Now, one thing that was very interesting so a card I don't like, and to be very clear here, Daniel won. He took down the Battle Hardened. The Key Unleashed, I've actually, through my playing it, I didn't like it because I find it very hard to pay for things. However, it's very rare also that I have 4 cheese. Again, that's a skill issue. Let's just say it that way. So it was very interesting. He had Key Unleashed. But if you really look at kind of the differences in the deck, which I highlighted there, Daniel also was not playing Sacred Art, which I actually think I personally agree with. I've really tried to get Sacred Art to work. I bought a shiny one. It was super cool. I was super happy to use it. I just haven't been able to get it to work. Another card I haven't been able to get to work, which William was running, was the Shifting Winds. That's really cool that it can poop out 2 tigers, but without giving them a boost. I didn't like the card, so I dropped that, which is a bummer because I actually opened a foil opening weekend. I really tried to get it to work because I wanted to play my shinies, right? But I could not. Now, as we go ahead and look at the equipment, the one thing that was very interesting on the Tri-Shot deck was they were running Mask of Momentum. Whereas if you look at the flex slot, Brody, Michaelton were running Arcane Lantern. William Perlman was also running Arcane Lantern and actually was running a Harmonized Kodachi, which I kind of like that from the don't blow up my needles standpoint, but then again, damage is damage. So that's a very interesting call. But if you look at the hot spice, William Perlman actually running Talishar the Lost Prince. Well, if you're going to pay 2 for a Kakara, you could just swing 4. That's actually pretty hot. I am curious how much that ended up getting played over the course of their tournament. That's pretty hot. You kind of got to give a shout out there. That's pretty hot. I like that call. So next what I did was I looked at all of these decks and kind of did what I'm calling my composite deck list. And I looked at the similarities. Basically anything that was a similarity just got windmill slammed in, with one exception of I was -1 on yellow bonds. But I went and I looked at either what I thought was consistent, a nice call, or just spicy hot. And I put it into the composite deck list. And that is what I want to present to you all right now. So the link is already below. Hopefully you've already clicked on it and you're looking through it as we're talking. Please do keep watching, or at least like and comment, right? As you're going, like and comment. But this is Zen Skirmish 9 2.0, which is again to counter the wrong call I made before. So this loadout should not look like a surprise to anyone, okay? I do have Kakara in the main loadout, but let's go ahead and cheat ahead to the inventory. So we have 1 Kodachi and 1 Needle. The reason I'm on 1 Kodachi is I saw in a lot of games, the final especially, both of them had it's really decent strategy to break needles, because then they don't have needles anymore. Right now, I know that that's functionally okay with them because it buys them a little more time to kind of get their pop off. Not a bad strategy, but I wanted to go 1 and 1. The nice thing also is, like if you're up against a wizard, perhaps, like Blaze, I think doing Kodachi Lantern is the right play there, because then you don't have to worry about your needle getting popped and then not having anything. So that is functionally what I'm, you can see all down here, 1 gloves, flippers, and then Blanche in the sideboard. And that basically rounds out the sideboard. Okay. So the rest of this, not cracking any eggs. The Zen loadout is very solid because, I mean, Traverse the Universe and 12 Battle Kassai are crazy cards. Transcend and get a resource back with, like, you transcend, pitch the Zen, tutor it, and you can pay for Chase the Tail for free or whatever, or Mauling She for free. Oh my God. Oh my God. So you get it. Now we are on Aspect of Tiger Body. I'm on Red Blue Belittle. I'm on 5 bonds, one of which is the yellow. Descendant Red Blue. And then one thing that I deviated from completely on the list is I went with Fluster Fist. They were running instead, let me make sure I get the car right. Many of them were running Spinning Wheel Kick. That was it, right? So Spinning Wheel Kick's a 1 for 4 with goes, which is pretty cool. And it has combo, which then feeds Ancestral Harmony. But I just felt that Fluster Fist with the 0-4 to end the chain seemed better to me. So that is what I'm going with. If you want to run Spinning Wheel Kick, that's completely fine. But I think the 0-4 just feels better to me. I do grant that it's a chain ender and doesn't have go again. We then have 100 Winds, Red Blue, Mauling She, Tiger Stripe. Oh my goodness, Art of War, what a shocker. Ancestral Harmony, yes, I'm back on that. It is a blue, so you do that. You can then transcend. Combos are +1. Gross. Cosmic Awakening is in here. It's main boarded. It's a blue. It's fine. It's just because we didn't have room in the inventory. You could side it out for whatever you need to run a Blanche if you want, but seems like a good ender if you get in its pinch because it can always just swing for 20 and you have no problem making sheep. So in terms of, well, let's finish out. So Levels of Enlightenment, Beast Strike is in here, of course, for obvious reasons. 1 copy of Mana Wisdom for all the belittles. Now let's go through this, and I think this is another spot where I screwed up my build before, was I didn't have enough Transcend cards. So we're on Homage, which is the life. We're on Pass Over. We're on Path Well Traveled, Preserve Tradition. You get to recycle Rising Sun. You get a little bit of cycling. You get to shuffle on Stir the Pot, and then Grain That Tips for an attack reaction of sorts, right? Of sorts. +3 to tutor something. Oh my goodness. Now the card I am missing in here for the way I like to play is Ancestral Empowerment, but you got to go off the data that the smart kids give you, right? So that is the deck as I have it now for Skirmish 9. It is definitely a compilation of the greatest hits of Battle Hardened New Jersey, and I'm really trying to learn how to play this right now. It is not as comfortable to me as the Tiger version, but I've been playing a lot with the Tiger version, and I'm confident that I can get there on this, and I'm confident that you can get there probably way faster than I can. Okay, so as we close this out, let me go ahead and sunset the deck. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback on this. A lot of people, I mean, let's just be honest. A lot of people were like, "Hey, Zen is the best deck in the format." And this was a couple weeks ago. I was like, "Really? Like, I don't know that he's better than Victor. I don't know that he's better than like Blaze." And you were right. I was wrong. So do your victory lap below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how the deck's playing for you. What suggestions you have personally. You know, if you want to play Jade Tiger and you think it's cool, play Jade Tiger. Like, do what you think is cool. It's Blitz, and if you can pop off, sometimes the combo potential and the cool factor is absolutely worth it. So anyway, folks, that'll do it for Friday. Thanks for bearing with me today. Again, I was wrong very clearly, not for lack of trying, but Zen's really good. Shocker. I think we all know that. And go Commando.